Complaining so much about us starting 5 minutes late. People seem to really take offense to that.
One.
We are now live.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. How you all doing? Could I get because I think it's coming up, this is day 4.
Yes.
I would love to see a greeting from everyone in the chat if I could, so I know you're all there. I can see the participants coming in there. Hey, Anna, Peter, Alexandra, Nina, Matt, Kelly, very good. Everyone exercise those finger muscles. Michael, I know there's more of you. There we go. Chat's working. Martina. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Chris, I don't know if you probably had time to see this, but I had some good news that I wanted to share with you and with everyone else on here.
Sure.
This is absolutely hot off the press. So, uh, we had someone who came in exactly like everyone in this course and did the message mapping workshop. That person saw the potential of the ads and the messaging like she hadn't seen anywhere before and decided to take and join us in the code methodology program and went through and applied that um, to her business. And she basically runs her own businesses, but because she's involved in networks, people are always wanting her to run ads and etc. And she doesn't usually take clients on, but she did. And I last spoke to her a couple of months ago, but she's just popped up in the group to give us some feedback, and I want to share that with you. I've anonymized all of it because there's a whole bunch of personal information in there that you don't need to see. But what I want to do, oh dear, okay, hang on one sec. Image tools, format images, format image options, text wrapping. Okay. Okay, I'm getting there. I've now built it up now. Page orientation, portrait. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. Are you seeing that untitled document there, Chris? Is that coming through?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to make this a little larger for everyone. Okay. Hey everyone, this is literally came in 5 hours ago. Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've been in here. It's been such a busy year for me, but I wanted to say hi and share some updates and a cool win with you all, especially for anyone new here to see how amazing code truly is. I picked up a new client that had been begging us to run their ads for the past year in August. The account was the first account I was able to apply everything I learned in code and our group coaching calls with a clean slate. The client had never run paid ads before, so we started off with a new ads manager, new pixel, etc. The brand has a $39 trial offer and a $54 new customer average order value. We did the whole procedure. PBC test to determine their winning messaging, which you're all doing right now, then headline testing, creative testing, etc. And in just 3 months, we've taken the brand from $0 to $1,000 per day in ad spend, with an average cost to acquire a customer of $22, averaging a $16 profit per new customer at acquisition. It's insane. Anyways, I had to share this with you all because this procedure was code. But I just wanted to share with you all, not to brag on me, but to brag on code. The skills I learned from this program forever changed my life. It took me from a good marketer to an advanced one. I know I've said it a million times, but thank you guys for everything. There you go, Chris. I don't think you'd seen that yet.
No. Where was this?
This is in the code alumni group,
Ah,
the
okay.
code SBS.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in calls all day long. I haven't even had a chance to jump into the Facebook group, so I haven't seen anything today. I've been flat out. So this is awesome. I'm wondering, I'm gonna have to go look at who that is. How many
It's in the code SPS group. Anyway,
PS?
guys, the,
Okay.
the point is when we talk about the second order effects of all of this, if you look down here, here is the actual, hang on, let me move my thing out here. I'm only showing you this so you can future pace yourself. Um,
Is this SPS group or alumni group?
SPS. options.
I'm not seeing it. Are you sure?
Yeah, 5 hours ago.
What the French toast?
So just everyone having a look here, you can see
Oh,
that
I see it now. I had
you
to
see it now.
refresh.
So this is it in totality. Purchases 300 here. We've got 408 purchases there. Cost to purchase 20, 20, 27, 21. All the way down. These are the numbers that have just come in. $30,000 total ad spend so far. Um, and you can see, look here. Wanted to point out here with the retargeting. I mean, everyone should be doing retargeting, right? But this is the key thing that always blows my mind. When I see CTR rules of 8% instead of 2%, that's 8 people per 100 who are now in your retargeting audience compared to 2. That alone for the retargeting, for that bringing in and really improving that, the return on ad spend overall. You can see here's the placement test, here's the creative test, here's the headline testing, the retargeting, and then also there was PPC testing done in there as well. And there you go. So I just wanted to kick off with that to show you that, like, where someone starts out with this is why we're saying the messaging is everything. You find out what messaging works, then you know what to write the ad about. Then when you run the ad, then you can go and test all the creatives. You can test different audiences and different placements. That all comes down the track, but it all starts with getting absolutely dialed in on the messaging, and then you have something like this happen. And I just love it because it's such a good example of a 0 to $1,000 a day in ad spend within 3 months. It's just brilliant. I love this stuff. It's why we do it.
You guys, you see, like you're getting a bit of a preview for what we're going to teach you on the back end of this workshop. You'll notice that there's those different types of tests that have been performed, and that is a part of our process called CIA. And you'll learn about that as we're nearing the latter half of next week, of how that process, how you take your tests full to full budget, full scale, and actually bring them out as a full ad beyond just your testing, and how to develop that. So you're getting a bit of a glimpse there. And the thing with who this was, they've been in our code program, which is a 12-week intensive, like you're here with us once to twice a week on a group call where you're actually learning to be a social media copywriter, not necessarily a traditional copywriter, because social media has different rules and different things and different formatting that you have to speak a little differently. And so this is where you learn the science of how humans make decisions, how you're able to do a full epic ad, which takes weeks and weeks and weeks of learning the intense, deep understanding of what needs to be accomplished and how to have those things nuanced properly and expressed properly and condensed properly. And so all of that goes on in our bigger program, in our code methodology SPS program, which is SPS is an acronym, stands for Sandbox Playground Stadium. Those are the three different kind of buckets that you operate in that have different sets of rules depending on where you're at with your spend, your budgets, how trained your pixel is, and where you're at with your business and offer and all of that. So obviously here, you know, you're getting the core narrative and the core messaging to which to develop a lot of this in this course here in the message mapping workshop. So, but some people go, well, why don't you just teach us the entire Epic ad right here in the course? Like, for one, I know what I have, and that thing makes millions and millions. So I'm not giving it away for $500. I'm sorry. Okay. Straight up. Two, that takes so much time and energy to learn. It's not a simple shortcut that says use this thing and do it this way. It's this is skill development where you become a better messaging strategist, which then allows you to be a better copywriter, and including that, learning how to think about all these things, not just social media, but you can make other traditional copy that's on landing pages and sales pages and VSLs and blog posts and emails. It makes all of that better, right? In a way, I've had many people come to me and say, your ad training on social media copywriting in your code program, like, is better than traditional copywriting schools and things that we go to and buy and pay a lot of money for, right? So what I'm getting you guys to do is, once you get this PBC down, you start to be introduced and understand what we call elemental thinking, right? Pain, benefit, challenge, those are all elements. There's more. A lot of you have been exposed to them, But the elemental thinking is what changes the game because you can look at any piece of marketing and go, up, oh, they missed that. See, the thing about the English language, I was just having this conversation with someone in the last hour as we were working through prompts on AI stuff. And it was like, oh, yeah, the English language doesn't have these distinctions, usually, not on the surface, right? Perfect example, someone says, what's the problem? Well, the problem could be a root cause, it could be a diagnosis, or it could actually just be the symptom of the problem. Those are usually not defined in regular languaging, nor is it defined mostly even in copywriting. Yet we define those distinctions so you know when to use which one and their proper place, which allows you to then make things better because you understand the entire thing. You can look at it differently than you look at typical messaging or marketing. And you just don't have to copy formulas that everyone else is doing, right? So there it is. Um, Rant over.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I'd like to point out to everyone is we probably have, coming through code methodology, we probably have maybe 40% are agency owners who are looking to get better. I see it all the time when applications come through. We just need to get better results for our clients. We need to get better results for our clients. And in this particular case, this person didn't join because if it's 40% agency, it's probably then 60% of people who are business owners who are sick and tired of having to outsource customer acquisition and lose control of the most fundamental thing to their business. And they want to learn how to have more control over their own customer acquisition. That's the other 60%. So it's not just people who want to devote their entire career to becoming social media copywriters. It's business owners who still want to run their business, but they want to learn the most effective copywriting approach in social media to literally achieve what I've just shown you in that thing. So it's a nice split there of either business owners, solo entrepreneurs, or agencies who come in for it, and we kind of cater to both of those. So that's the thing about it, is that it's I would say for myself, having gone through it, because I didn't go through it to become an agency, myself going through it, like I needed to have control over this thing. And it's one of the things when I do with my clients is they outsource customer acquisition to other people and then they lose control of it. And if you lose control of customer acquisition, it's essentially giving your business away. Even though you may later delegate it to other people, you need to know what's going on and have control over it to really solidify your position in being able to safely secure your business moving forward. So you know what's going on. If you don't have a clue what's going on, you just outsource it to an agency without no knowledge, then that is a weak link, and you want to kind of protect yourself from that. So, all right. The other thing is, now moving on to today, there's some questions in the group. There's one I think I've seen a couple of times that I wanted you to address, like in general. And then Chris and I have a hard out, like in an hour from now. I do. So we want to then bring anyone else on if you have not been on with us yet, and you need to get your PPC 1 done, then I'd encourage you to come out from the shadows, put your hand up and jump on with us. And we just want to get you live because we want to bring every single person through this and get it done. The key question that I've seen arise a couple of times in the group, Chris, just a quick answer on it.
Okay.
Some people are noticing that they're getting high CPMs compared to what they're used to.
Yeah.
And I don't know the details because I've only been able to check it this morning since I've got up.
See, the reality is, Facebook has now been cutting the deck, so to speak, for a long time. What they do to keep your CPMs down is that they fill your placements basically with a bunch of your ads with a bunch of junk placements. They will show your ads in the right hand column a lot at a much higher rate. They will show it in Reels placements or Facebook video feed placement, even when it's just an image, or Facebook profile feed. So essentially, those placements cost less, but a lot of those other placements do not convert like the news feed does. And so when you just choose the news feed placement and nothing else, then you're paying premium on the CPM because those are the ones that are the most premium, that make the most difference, that when people are optimizing to get results, that's where the majority of their placements are going to be. Now you can go into your ads manager and look at your placement breakdown, go to the breakdown column, click it, and then click on placement. and you'll see how they're distributing your ads across different placements, across different actual pieces. So IG newsfeed, Reel, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram Explore. And oftentimes those placements don't have your full text, your full context, all the elements showing, so they don't work as well. And so what we're doing here, the reason we have you just on the newsfeed is that it standardizes 100% that everybody sees all of the elements and they don't get cut off because you're in a different placement. So this is why, because the newsfeed does cost the most, but it's actually the one that works. And you'll notice that most of your results, if you look back at your older ads, if you have gotten results, 90% of it, maybe 80%, are at the least in your newsfeed placements, and the rest are like it's scattered very few and far between some of those other placements. So ultimately, the high CPMs are coming from less ad liquidity, which means there's less impressions to give of the newsfeed placement. It's just that we all assumed that what was happening when Facebook has been inventing these dumbass placements like putting, little banners across videos and all of these other things that don't give full context and don't show all the text and don't show your image too well or too big. Like, and they're basically just cutting the deck with these cheaper impressions to get you your impressions, but they don't convert very well. So we've got to find a balance. So when we're doing the test, we need to make sure we don't have any of those placements. So we standardize the test completely. So yes, your CPMs will be a little higher, but once you get your message and you start implementing some of these other newsfeed style type ads, like in your reels and stories and things like that, where there still is a decent amount of text, then your CPMs will go down because they don't charge as much for all of that. But for the test, we need it to be uniform, or else our results that we get are not valid because we're using different placements, which throws in different variables. Is that short
And
enough?
yeah, they're good. And on that note too, just a last comment I was going to make the other day about CPMs, right? It's yes, it's an important measure, but it's an interim measure, right? What we really want to know is money in versus money out. So I want to tell you, I've been in the nutrition and weight loss space. Um, and I remember showing people an example of what I was doing, and our CPMs were around $94. And this person almost gagged because they're used to getting CPMs of around $16. So the idea of spending $94, and the thing for them is they were trying to get sales and they weren't profitable. They were trying to do lead generation. They couldn't really convert enough leads. And yet I'm sitting there with a break-even front-end offer, even though it's $94 CPM or $88 CPM. So, right, they're coming in, they're buying a front end, low price, we try between 29, 37, that sort of stuff. We had an upsell, and that was where the profit was coming from in the upsell. So it doesn't even necessarily matter. Now, if our CPMs drop from 94 to 64, then would we make more money? Yeah, but don't let the high CPMs be the thing that then make you freak out and go, oh, this isn't working. The other thing, I was answering a question, not sure if you mentioned it, Chris, but often also when you have a higher CPM, it's when you're targeting a better quality person. And setting context often helps you do that too. So don't worry. Well, we've seen it before. I will check through the messages in the group and see if there's anything else that might be causing you to have outrageously high CPMs. But that's
Alexander said it perfectly. High cost per results give you high CPMs purely on a mathematical basis. So nothing wrong there. And that's true. A lot of people are concerned about their cost per impression. That's not what you should be concerned about at all. The way the ad system works, real quick, there's an auction system. A lot of you know this. Some of you have gone through my 5D ad course. The winner of the auction is the one that pays the most money. So the fact that you're winning those auctions means that your ad score based on your engagement and your results is high enough to even bid in those auctions, which means if your ad scores are low, yes, your CPMs are lower because you're bidding for second rate traffic that is less likely to convert for the event you are optimizing for. But if your ad is scoring high with high CTRs and getting some decent results, it starts to bid more aggressively in the premium traffic. And those people you want because they convert at a much higher conversion rate. Even if your cost per impression is higher, that's okay. So to me, if CPMs go way down, I know that we've done something wrong and we've lost some ad scores and we've gotten some negative feedback or people hiding our posts, which means we're not entering the premium auctions that give us the good results anymore. And that's actually a bad thing. So traditional marketing is so over concerned. I don't even know if that's a word or way to say it with your cost of impression when in fact I would rather pay more because those people convert even more. Pay double because you convert triple, right? That's the concept that you're looking at. So, yeah.
All right. So who hasn't been on and who would like us to go through either anything they're stuck with in terms of getting their campaign live, or if you're still trying to sort out how to construct your headline, or if you're still even ideating your pains and aren't clear about that, this is your chance to jump on with us. And we're going to try and get through at least 4 people, right? Because we'll try and get through more if we can. Depends on how quick we can solve each person's issue and get them moving forward. So this is your chance. This is why you're here, and this is why we're all here. So put your hand up, request to come out, and let's do it.
Look,
And if I, sorry, the other thing I was going to do, really, I do want you, if you have not got your PBC one live, could you just put an N, capital N, in the chat? Doesn't mean you have to come out, right? We're not going to force anyone to come out, but at least we want to get a sense of who has been able to get their PBC live or not. Okay, very good. And so anyone here who has got your PBC one, could you please put a capital Y in the chat just so we get a sense of this as well? So absolutely, if you've got it live, please put it in there.
okay, the overwhelming
All right.
majority. All right, look at that. Okay, so five people. All right.
So of all the N's,
I
which
don't
of
have any
you
hands
would like,
raised, by the way. So
what's that?
I don't have any hands raised yet.
Okay, of all the N's, uh, if you need some help with this, if you know what you're doing and you just haven't got to it yet, that's fine. If you need some help with this, please jump on with us now. That's why we're here. We want to coach you through it.
David has requested. I'm bringing you out, David. I think, David, you were getting a decent result. I think if I was, you posted something. Maybe that was someone else. We have a couple Davids. Rich. Okay, I got you. Rich, I'm just going to bring you on right now while you're here. All right, David.
Okay, I'll just share my screen if I can.
Sure.
Need to share that one. Okay. Just let me get my view up, zoom in a little bit here. So this is probably a little bit too zoomed up actually. But anyhow, so this is my wife has a craft store where she sells physical craft kits as well as digital clip art, quirky clip art collections and things like that. And so my challenge has been um, uh, defining like my ideal customer. And so I'm actually zoomed in too far.
No, you're good. Well, no, I don't. No, no, no,
Okay.
don't.
Sorry about
People
okay.
need to see it. You can always just kind
All
of
right.
navigate it.
Okay. So this is my own confusion, and I suppose it's because I'm so connected to the client, I just get confused with, right? But what I was thinking of originally, in terms of the common bond, I suppose I've elected the common bond to be parents,
Yeah,
right? Because they make most of the buying decisions, at least for this PPC. It's pretty simple.
right.
And then I suppose my challenge was understanding why people actually buy those types of products because I'm not that sort of person. So what I was looking at was like pain one being, frustrated kids, having distracted kids, etc. Your kids complaining, ultimately parents becoming despondent or glazing over, that sort of thing. But for PBC1, what I was thinking was just going as simple as how parents with screaming kids are living a relaxed life, and then doing that, starting with that sort of iteration. Does that does that make sense, or have I totally missed the point? Because I know that when I go through this symptoms and impact and further impact, thinking about it this morning because it's like only 4:30 in the morning here, I've actually my symptoms impact and further impact. I've merged. I've merged parents being making the buying decision versus kids, etc. So I've sort of lost my way in that regard. So I open to some
Yeah,
feedback.
I kind of see that happening now. Real quick again, can you specifically tell me what this offer is? It's like just a little bit more detail there
So if
about.
if I was to look at the offer would be one of her clip art collections. So she's got clip art collections of generic, like AI generated
Well,
K-pop
I heard
or
that, but
Australiana,
I'm
that
trying
sort
to
of thing.
understand beyond that. Like, how is it delivered? What is the promise? Like, I'm
Uh,
having a hard time even visualizing a clip art collection. Like, how is that packaged?
okay, so if we don't, if so they're packaged as digital downloads.
Okay.
So there's a collection of them. So you get like if you look at Australiana, because it's probably something that people can understand, you might have koala bears, kangaroos, platypuses, just looking at quirky sort of elements that parents can buy for their kids, um, print them out as stickers on books, that sort of thing. Um, there's other items such as digital coloring books. So there's like 20 or 30 coloring images put together as a package, and digital um, journals and things like that to download. So there's a range of products, and I was just focusing on like the quirky quick clip art as something that's visually impactful. They're putting collections and sort of pre-setting up for Christmas and things like that.
Okay.
So
And has this been making sales? Is this business running and having products sold?
no, it's brand new. Like we've been in the we've been running the physical product side, which is stitching kits and um, knitting and those sort of things, but we've not run this digital side before. So yeah, so
Yeah. Okay.
there's a lot of creative product, but there's no sales, and that's what my role is in helping
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a hard time trying to bridge the gap to like, okay, just download this and then I have to print it off and do all the applications myself or just buy something that has already been pre-made for me, like stickers and everything. Like I'm failing to see the major thing that makes people want to get that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. Now, of course, we need to test it. So you are right in the way that you're thinking about the process in terms of your headlines. Go ahead, Nick.
And I was just going to say, just by way of an example, my niece has produced a lot of this kind of thing as for homeschooling types of things. So she had a lot of digital things and resources that parents would buy for their children, and their parents would print them off, just the same way a teacher would need to print them off at school, that kind of thing. And so she actually sold a lot of this type of stuff through Etsy, and then has progressed her whole business. So digital downloads with things that are creative for kids. She sold a lot of that type of thing. So, Chris, maybe that provides some more context.
Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, that helps. I mean, I was having a hard time visualizing like what are they really getting, and how that's applied. So, yeah. Um, I
So,
mean,
I mean,
obviously,
it's so just asking that myself then, because the kids aren't the ones buying this; it's the parents buying it for the kids. So the parent is the
yeah,
buyer,
for sure.
right? And the parents, and there's a lot more parents doing homeschooling types of things. Anyway, not saying that you're necessarily just going after homeschooling, but that's a big market. And so the parents are looking for things that they can get for their kids. And it's the kind of thing that the parents scrolling through a newsfeed, they'll see something cool that they think their child might like. And if it's not that expensive, they'll go ahead and buy it and download it, and they'll print it off and they will use it. Even if they don't use everything in the pack, they'll use it. So it's really about what are the parents? One way to approach it is what are the parents experiencing as a pain, which I know you mentioned, but that's really going like, are they stuck for ideas for their kids? Are the kids bored with the things that they've got? The fact that you've got like an Australiana type package could mean that that's quite novel for people who aren't Australians, as well as the ones who are. But, you know, like there could be someone in the States, for example, who scrolls through, sees a kangaroo pack that's really quirky for their kids and goes, oh, that'd be awesome, because it's different than what they're used to. So it's really a question of like identifying the pains here is like, what are the parents struggling with? And, you know, and also maybe what their kids, but even if it's the kids that are bored, it's still got to be, I guess it might be parents with bored kids or something like that that we need to go through. And I can see you've got bored kids there. But that's the frame I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
cool. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I've really got to just go back to that research stage and understanding the client more before I go through the pain piece. Yeah, or go through that,
What do you think,
use
Chris,
that
then?
niche piece. Sorry.
Here's the thing about that. I think research and trying to understand ideal clients is really overrated. And I think in a world before we had other options, that was the only one that traditional marketing typically tells us to do. But I find most research completely useless. So what I find
Yeah.
is, I'm serious too. Like what I find is if you, by testing PBCs, I oftentimes do zero research and I just test pains and see which one comes up and tests well. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me go look specifically into that pain and that problem and that application and what people are saying about that stuff. So the PBC actually allows me to do informed research rather than trying to just go out and do this massive amount of like, let me fill out these little avatar worksheets about Jane who goes to the store at 3 p.m. on a frickin' Thursday every week and does this thing. Like, who gives a shit, right? Like, it doesn't even matter about that weird stuff that they put on those avatar worksheets. So I really think that putting it out there to see what people respond to allow you to follow that data and follow that path on who to go talk to. So I really don't think it's going to require a lot of going to understand a lot of that. It's really about brainstorming and choosing ones that make sense. Because actually, the more you think about it, the more it becomes common sense. Is like, okay, what's the reason why these kids are not, engaged? All right, there's
Yeah.
a handful of these, but what are the behaviors that they display that would lead us to believe that they're not engaged, that they're bored? Because being bored, like kids bored, that could be true, but also like, what do they do when they're bored? They act out, and there's different things that happen when they do that. And those are really the symptoms I'm looking for, because when people respond to that, then we can say, look, your kid is acting out because they're bored. You can say that in your ad. And if they used these clip arts, then they wouldn't be so bored because they'd be occupied with these cool things.
Yeah.
So I I
Cool. No,
wouldn't.
that's okay. You're articulating sort of what I've thought at different times.
Yeah.
I just hadn't narrowed the thinking process down. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think this is
Excellent.
what's great about PBCs is not tons of research needed, you know.
Yeah,
It's great. It's kind of a
cool.
shortcut in a lot of ways. So, yeah.
Well, great. I'll get it out there today.
All right.
I'll get something on paper.
Yeah. All right.
And
What's
done.
your let's see, screaming kids, live relaxed life. Yeah, I think also like you could go into separate niches of parents, like specifically homeschool parents.
Yeah, that was my takeaway from Nick, was that I needed to perhaps be a bit more, have to be more specific rather than not over specific, but like, because
Yeah,
it's a
let me
that's a
let me
large specific. So yeah,
let me qualify how you get specific with the common bond for everyone here. Because some of you are going to say, well, Chris, you didn't tell us to do like growth minded, vet or, ambitious traders, or, we've seen some of these, right? When you're using with a common bond, we are not adding mindset, feelings, and emotions or mindsets. It's not something that they identify like, yeah, I'm ambitious, or I'm, whatever the case may be. It's when it's describing a situation that they are in, which homeschool parents is a situation they are in. They can say, oh yeah, I homeschool my kids. And then we get to test the pains for them. But if we lead the witness with a mindset that we give, like, motivated career motivated women, then like that's a subset that's not as scalable. And now that colors the way they respond to certain benefits, so you can't ever use that same messaging when you're not saying career oriented women, right? So it's limiting in that respect. Same thing here. So yeah, I think you could find homeschool parents, you could find a few other things that define a clear situation with parents, um, and that's going to help a lot more too.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very welcome. Yep, put you back in. All right. Who's next? Rich. Let's do it. And I know Murray had a question. Oh, you did reply. You did reply there.
Yep.
All right, Rich, how you doing, my
Hey,
man?
how's it going? It's
Feeling all
going.
right today?
I got to be honest. I don't. You guys are doing the Lord's work. I don't know how you spend all this time in the back end of this Facebook thing. It's awful. It's. I mean, it's a terrible place to be. But it is what it is. I'm here. I did all my stuff. I just had some questions. I guess I found a two. So I found like an old SMX picture and it puts me sort of far away. I just grabbed it, I threw it in just so I had something. Like I didn't want to put like a stock thing. So I don't know. This is totally not my style, but I'm trying to just get a little uncomfortable. So that's the image. I don't know if it,
I quite like it. The image to me looks like exactly the kind of image that would get shared on someone's social media. Someone was somewhere, someone's taken a snap of them. Um,
And I just asked the girl on my team if she could take the black from here and just make it all the way down, because the other thing I had written down, and I'm sure it's just yeah, it's a part of Facebook ads, is the trolls, that the people that have no jobs in their parents' basements and they're just sort of on all day, like nitpicking every little thing about ads.
Yeah, but we can't
So
worry about them. I mean,
that's what I knew you were going to say, but I figured I'd mention it so that when it looked like you might have had a few on yours too, because it looks like it says 6 comments, but only 3 show. Do you just hide them, or how do you sort of
yeah,
hygiene
see,
that?
the level of skill I'm targeting is on the beginner to intermediate side for the most part in my ads, because I
Mhm.
find people are a little more responsive. So what happens is you get some experts who really think they know what they're talking about, that want to basically do the Reddit thing where it's like, oh, I know more than you. You don't know what you're talking about. Ha ha.
Right.
Type of
Yeah.
thing. So I have to hide a few of those.
You hide them. All right. That was my thing. So the photo, so she'll clean it up. I'll push it back in. The age for me, I mean, I can't imagine having a 25-year-old client. It just doesn't make sense
Yeah.
for me. But should I keep the broader like age, or should I trim it like 40 to 65 plus and call it a day?
Yeah, I would trim it to who you want. Definitely the age 40 to 65 plus. I have found, like, for me, I do the same thing. I don't deal with 20 somethings usually unless they're really intelligent. But sometimes I'll target like 29 to 65 plus. And you get some that, if they get through my ads and read them, they're like, okay, you know what you're talking about. But oftentimes they're all stuck on TikTok and they think they understand what's going on and they don't. So,
Cool. And then for location, just for testing purposes, like I've just found that New York, New Jersey, Connecticut work well for me because I can show up, I can give them some FaceTime, and then I sort of wean them onto Zoom and I can show up once a quarter. Should I be going in that location or keeping
if you
it
like,
for the country because I want to, or just testing?
yeah. So if you like, you can, but I don't see it mattering that much, because it really is like, once you develop that messaging from the testing, then targeting those specific areas with a full message is probably a better way to go. So I probably would look to open it up and keep it more the entire nationwide. Yeah.
All right, cool. And then, yeah, I mean, yeah, labels like, no, sorry, site links.
Oh,
Like, yeah, every time I just feel like there's more like just stuff, labels and just more things. So I keep going through to make sure. But for this, if there is it like if they're like I've been clicking these things out, but every time I click them out, it seems like they come back. And is this like mean you turn it on?
um, I just don't click the review and confirm so it doesn't then show up at all. You notice that if you X out of this, you notice that it says review and confirm. You haven't confirmed it, so they're not going to show it.
All right, so it just doesn't. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then there was labels.
Same thing. They're going to ask you to try to like see how it says turn on info labels. You haven't turned them on, so you just leave it blank.
All right, good. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, some of them were pre-checked before, so I went in and just clicked them off of that.
Some accounts do automatically turn them on, and we have to turn
Oh,
them
yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got my copy. Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna clean up that image. I got to get my pixel thing figured out.
The thing I'm concerned about right now is
Oh,
you
tell
just
me.
say outdated tactics,
Yeah.
but we're not talking about like tactics about what specifically. I probably would want to type in like outdated ad tactics or outdated marketing tactics, advertising tactics.
Yeah, and then I started to get nervous with the length.
I get it. One of the things that I like to do is once we get out of the PBC test, I'll take, because I'll use business owners a lot because they're like, I'm a business owner. But you can also say businesses and it saves some room there. Um, and then outdated tactics to a game changing edge. Like there's a lot going on with your ultimate benefit, but the good news is, you won't be testing that in your benefit test. So you'll find, elements that are smaller and you'll have enough room and we will teach you how to deal with the challenge test when we get there if your challenge is getting cut off, which oftentimes a lot of people do. And so there's a specific way to deal with that at the time. So you don't have to worry about that now. When we start into the challenge test, we'll go through a lot of those things.
All right. So how businesses, so I should just go back but the rest of them you feel okay, wasted budget, weak sales, marketing overwhelm, lack of leads. It's just the outdated tactics, which is now outdated ad tactics.
I would encourage you to think about this. I don't have an issue with any of these, first off. But
Okay.
like, can we get the question is like, okay, we can always make things better, right? So what I would ask myself from this is, are there any of these like marketing overwhelm that says, what does that lead to? What like marketing overwhelm is kind of a feeling they're experiencing. So I'm good with it. But what does that cause them to do? And sometimes there's other avoidance behaviors they take that we could point out and they're like, yeah, I do that, of course, because I'm overwhelmed. So
Just,
it's just a
yeah, they
thinking
probably just
exercise that just,
don't do anything.
what's that? Or they don't
They
do
probably
anything.
either just don't do anything because they're frustrated. So it's easier.
Marketing paralysis. That could be one, right? Outdated ad tactics, wasted ad budgets. So yeah, I would clarify what type of budget because they have different budgets for different things. Well, wasted ad budget. Yes. And so the one you had with the outdated tactics, you've got, if you want to click back on that one for a moment, the only thing that might be a bit off on that one is that you go from outdated tactics, plural, to a singular game changing edge. So I think that's still okay. Grammar teachers hate that stuff, but who cares, right? It's how people respond to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine there. Yeah.
All right, so once I get the pixel situation squared away, I can just hit publish.
Are your enhancements all turned off as well?
I'm fairly sure. I keep going through it all just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, they're a pain in the neck in the way that they keep trying to turn stuff on for you, and you've just got to be diligent. So good, they're all turned off. Yep. You're all, I think at this point, you're all set to go. Yep. You got it.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, my man. Anything else?
I mean, I don't think so. So this thing you said was 20 bucks a day. So it's about $100 a day here.
Yeah.
And this runs for how long?
It ideally 48 hours. And if you do it right away, then it kind of staggers on day one. And then there's a little bit that finishes on day three, ideally, which means you have the algorithm reset itself twice to choosing different data. So it gives us a really good spread of what people are responding to. So,
since it's not on, when is there a better time to turn it on?
well, what's the tough part about that is it's when it starts running, right? So once you submit it, depending on your ad account, if you have an older ad account where you're not running a lot of volume or running barely anything, then
This has been dormant.
I
had to
mean,
wake
it
it
may
up.
take 8 hours before they approve your ad, right? So I would do it as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to get the pixel thing squared away. See if the girl could get me the thing for the photo, and I'll just make those small changes, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
All right, thank you.
All right, man. Cool. I'll put you back in.
Yeah, and for everyone here, when you get it done, please post in the group that it's live, because we want to celebrate you for getting over it, because yeah, ads manager. Here's the thing. If you don't know how to do this, you end up spending a hell of a lot more time in ads manager than, because you got to go in there every single day and be refreshing creative and come up with new hooks, and it's a nightmare. So believe it or not, this is the most efficient way to use ads manager as well.
Yep. All right, Ricky, you there, bud? I brought you out.
Hey.
Hey, bud. Good
Hey,
to see
what's
you
up?
again.
You too, man.
Been a while.
It
Glad
has.
you joined us. How are you
I'm
finding
glad.
it so far?
Oh, it's great. I've been doing, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but
I
we
do.
met years and years ago.
Yeah.
And background for everyone, I was actually working at a company and I really wanted to hire Chris. And as many companies, some companies just can't afford him for good reason. He's just,
I just thought you didn't like me. I didn't know that.
oh,
I
no,
thought
no,
you're like, oh, he's a jerk.
no. But so I've been at this for, I mean, gosh, 3, 4 years now. And I'm liking this course has been awesome for me. I've learned so much, and I've taken quite a few courses in Facebook advertising because I own an agency. So, anyways, I'm enjoying it, Chris and Nick. Thank you guys so much. The reason why I volunteered to be a panelist is I would just like you guys to pick apart some of the words that I chose. All right, and I just want your feelings and thoughts. So,
As long as they're not discover or imagine, then we're probably pretty good.
no, we do have some check mark emojis, which you might cringe at.
Oh,
But
I don't care about that. No.
we'll see. Okay. All right.
I find that emojis don't really move the needle too much. So if people want to do them, as long as they don't replace words, which is actually against Facebook policy to replace words with emojis to try to make your point, as long as the emojis are more so like adding, dressing up, and kind of encourage supporting whatever you said in your text, I don't care.
Adding some feel goods.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can get cute with it if you like. Does it matter?
Hey, Chris,
Probably
you're the one
not.
who's cute. Remember?
Yeah,
Comment in the
thanks.
group.
Yeah, thanks, Alexandra. That was beautiful. You got Nick on that. Go ahead, Rick.
I will say, so I serve home service companies, and there's one headline that I use with emojis with a heart eye emoji that says "Love your home," and I have it on both sides of "Love your home," and for some reason, like people love it, and so that's one area where and that may be very against best practice, by the way, and you may talk about me offline about how terrible of an idea that is. But that is something I have seen the data prove. Like the emojis in the headlines sometimes can work. But anyways, there's not many emojis here. So a little context for you guys. This client that I'm testing this with is so a painter. We're trying to attract homeowners. So handful, like one exterior painting. So outdated colors, weather damage, bugs seeping through the windows, faded houses, damaged siding. So just looking at this, just chose a pretty image. This is actually an image I've never used before, but I wanted to just test it. And so any feedback on the image? Because I'm totally open to it.
Well, as long as I can clearly tell it's an AI generated image, I'm assuming.
It is.
Yeah. So I like to be able, which tool are you using to generate it?
I actually bought this one, or I used credits for it.
Okay. So the only thing I notice with AI generated images is when people know it's AI generated, the engagement tends to not go so well. I think people still feel like it's like the same concept as like, I don't want to read a book generated by AI. I want to read a book by a human. And so I think that seems, our data shows that AI generated stuff typically doesn't work as well. The one thing I've done to get around that is there are some AI generative AI tools where you can turn down the temperature and turn down the intensity of the image. Like with Adobe Express, their Firefly AI generative one I use a lot, but I have to turn down the visual intensity all the way down. And then you actually cannot tell if it's AI generated or not. But if I leave the visual intensity up, it clearly shows that it's AI generated. And I've seen the difference using AI generated with visual intensity way up where it's clear, and then ones that you cannot tell the difference, and the ones where you cannot tell the difference and it looks real perform so much better.
Got it.
There's that thought about it to keep in mind. Other than
I just launched this, Chris. So I mean, it's not even approved. So if after going through these, if you guys suggest like, hey, why don't you put in like a photo of kind of a dilapidated exterior? I have those because a lot of my clients are painters. So please just give me I want your opinion.
Yeah. The thing is, you're going to want to use the same exact image for all three tests. So it really doesn't matter as long as it's uniform for all three tests. And that's why we say neutral, because, you know, in a pain test, would it be great to reflect the pain with a negative image of something dilapidated like that? Sure. But then we're changing everything for the positive side when we do the benefit test, right? So the thing that I would look at is just a neutral image of a home that I think is, you know, not necessarily overtly visually pleasing either. Like we're actually trying to make the image not be the reason they stop scrolling. They want to read the text, right?
That's what I missed. I missed that because I wanted to find like a video or an image that showed them like the promised land or like the backside of the transformation. So that's I've got to correct that.
Yeah, you're going to want to do that in your regular ads once you finish your testing. That's going to be perfect to do. However, right now it's like if I could do these ad tests without an image altogether and just literally text and nothing else and have the right formatting and everything that I need, I would do it that way. But
that's right. You said that.
Doesn't. And those don't necessarily convert that well. So we also are doing our level best to be able to give people a chance to have some results from this so that they don't feel like they've just thrown away all of that testing and not gotten any of it back. Usually people can get some of it back. And there's already people that are in this test. Some people that are getting results. And so, yeah, it's just really about neutralizing it to where it's not really a factor right now. I know it's counterintuitive. Yeah.
Good. Okay, great. Based on your feedback, I'm going to change it. Thank you, Chris. So here's the copy. The only thing obviously it's changed is outdated colors. And then the ultimate benefit, I was between two, like one was creating inspiring homes and the other one was have a protected home. And I chose have a protected home just because there's more people in that bucket because I've just worked with a lot of these painters and the serious buyers who and one actually looking at the data, the higher average job sizes are at the protected home. So it's not as like exciting, but it's a way more economic play. So that's that's how I got to Protected Home. And how do you want to just read it? Do you want me to read it?
I already did. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right on. You've done the thing. You've talked about the pain. Nothing is more worse than it could be worse, than feeling like it could be getting worse, right? So you're essentially using the overarching like things are not good about the house, which is what we want to do. Because then people are like, that's what I don't want. And they understand me. So I'm willing to listen to the rest of what they have to say.
Okay.
Building that trust element, right? That rapport element. And then you're segueing. It doesn't allow us to enjoy. We do anything to enjoy. We do anything to enjoy our home. So you're connecting. Thankfully, we have a solution. Your segue into your solution and the benefit. The solution's exterior prepping and painting. 3 benefits. If you want to get rid of repeatedly thinking about the house getting worse, yeah, which is essentially just giving if you want to go from before to after,
Mhm.
click below. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
And
it.
check out the link below is okay, given.
I would also put the link right in the body copy.
Okay. Good
Yeah,
deal.
so people don't have to like scroll down beyond the image to try to find the link to click. It still appends UTM parameters the same exact way. And the thing with the body copy is you don't have to put the HTTPS in there. You can actually just start with like hillcopaint.com and it'll make it clickable and link to it. Yep,
Sweet.
you got it.
Cool. So I'll do that. I'll swap the photos and I'll rock and roll. Thanks for your feedback.
Very, very welcome. All right, my man. Anything else?
No, sir.
All
Yeah.
right, bud.
Thank you guys.
I'm
You're
looking
very
forward
welcome.
to seeing this one roll through.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
me too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Okay. So we have essentially 2 minutes. I do have a hard out. I have to hop on our other webinar, which is our code members. And so I'm starting that. Martina for AI look into Flux One. Flux is really good. We use Flux as well for hyper realistic photo image generation. That's actually the one that I've got plugged into my software I'm developing. So, and it really works well. And it is better than Midjourney in a lot of ways. Yeah. So I agree with you, Martin. Sorry, I said Martin. Yes. All right. Are we all good on the rest of the questions here?
Yeah, we are. And the only other thing was Murray said he's got his first test running and he's getting the highest CTRs he's ever had.
I saw that. He already got his 1,000 impressions, so it looks like he put a little much in his. But hey, keep running it until it gets past there, and that you get to where you've got some decent data at least through day 2. You don't have to make it all the way into day 3. Just go through the majority of day 2, because you're going to see that the click trends change from day 1 to day 2. So, and we'll debrief all of that tomorrow. So, all right,
you all
everyone. Have a good one. I'll be in the group a little bit more this evening rather than being absent this morning. So, any other questions, let us know. We'll help you out. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.